channel, stasiabliss. I want to dive back into this divine union conversation, and I mentioned this just a little bit in one of the talks the other day, where there are some relationships that aren't the one ultimate one maybe that you're meant to stay with, to be with, to merge with, but there are initiatory relationships as well. So for those of you who are in the dating pool and frustrated, this is a new perspective, right? One that I hope can get you a little bit more reflective and excited about dating again. Because really in the cosmic, scope of things, we don't really want to get deterred from one of the most magical things that can occur on this human plane of existence, and that's to be in divine union with another human, to experience that deep, divine, sacred love with someone in the physical form. So a lot of us have had that experience in maybe, not in form, in spirit, and so we recognize it when we see it, and we have a longing. I feel like it's something that gives us a longing, and it's almost like the biological impulse to procreate that a lot of women feel, and some men too. But it's like, I think it is pretty innate in most humans to have this core desire to find the one, right? And of course, this, past decade or so has really been crumbling this theory and bashing it, and there's not really the one, and, a lot about this, and a really strong growth spurt in independence and loving the self, which is great. And I do think people need to go through that as well. And we are, as I said in the first Divine Union video, we are maturing. This is the kundalini awakening process in humans. So there's the collective level of awakening that's going on. Then there's the level of, your awakening, your relationships awakening, relationship awakening, just the subject relationship, partnership. It is going through its own awakening. Animals are awakening, everything is going through. And awakening is just another word. You could call it an evolution. A lot of people don't like that word, but it is, like, think Pokemon, right? The evolution of a character to its next most powerful character. So evolution doesn't necessarily have to mean like Darwin evolution, like anti-creation or whatever. Creation, evolution actually go together in this kind of evolution, because it is that creative force within all of us that wants to be better, that wants to grow, that wants to go to the next level, that wants to, upgrade our operating systems and experience, the next level, next level, next level, next level, right? Just like we've always done. Like, we came as babies, we graduated from diapers, we graduated from mama milk or bottles, and, all these steps, we started walking, we got left at a babysitter or at a preschool or something, and we were okay. We, went from baby food to solid food. Like, all these things are graduations, our evolutions, our maturation points. We went to school. We started taking responsibility for ourselves. We, had puberty. We went through puberty. We maybe graduated. We maybe had children. Maybe got married. Maybe did all, got a job, got a car, your first, all these things are evolutionary points. So, we've maybe been deluded into thinking that once we go through puberty, like, our body just stays like that, right? But then we know, especially women, we move toward menopause and so forth, and there's cyclical changes. But even more profound than that, that's many times overlooked, is that we're still developing as a soul. We're still maturing as a spiritual being, coming down into this body, and this body goes through maturations, and it actually keeps going through maturation processes. We can get new hormonal functions as we get higher levels of consciousness, God hormones. We have to sustain us. If we have a specific belief or thought pattern that needs like a neural firing, often it needs a hormone, a correlating hormone, a combination of hormones, a hormone cocktail to accompany that, right? So relationships, just as a template, as a paradigm, are going through their own maturation, evolutionary process. And it kind of does follow the chakra system. You know, if you think like we go from really primal, caveman pulling the lady by the hair or whatever, grunting and killing the food with the bare hands and, just like raw and untamed. That's in all of us. That's like a first level relational template, just like our amygdala is our fight or flight reptilian brain that's still in there. We still use it in certain moments. It's just not our whole life, right? If we get into a dangerous situation, that part of us is fantastic and important and key, and maybe the thing that keeps you alive. So as a relationship is going through an evolution, it's going through a maturation, sometimes you can do the whole thing with one person. And that's very much traditional love, as we've known it. Like, my parents were together 59 years before my dad passed, and they did all of the phases together. They initiated each other, they went through death, rebirth cycles together within the relationship, childbearing years and children, empty nesters, and all the phases that they did together in relationship, all the way from courtship to separation and death. That, like, you can get it all in one, but that isn't necessarily the same way every person's getting it, right? So we may be feeling, and this could be an ancestral carryover that we need to acknowledge as a culture and people and say, okay, yes, that's in the DNA. Part of me really wants that, but we also know that longevity is possible, right? So it's not that we want to get rid of that idea and replace it necessarily with jumping around or not having a consistent partnership, but that exists now in this reality as sort of like a growth. You could think of it as like the teenager phase of relationship. And as we're moving up the chakra system, this is a struggle in the second chakra of satisfaction, right? And ancestral trauma, creative impulses. So the impulse for sexual connection is huge, and that is sometimes a driving force for people to move around and not stay in a relationship if there isn't a strong bond in that way. But there's so much more than that, right? First chakra issues in relationship would be like, do I feel safe with this person? Do I feel, home? Or do we have a home? That could hurt a relationship as well. And all these safety, security, groundedness, stability is first chakra. So, we do have ancestors that really showed us a strong foundational relationship module, right? Gave us that module. So it contains that animalistic root instinctual self as well. But then again, there's various phases, levels of relationship evolution. And maybe I'd say we're in like a third chakra where we're trying to empower ourselves, right? Third chakra, Manipur, is all about empowerment. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to, be confident. And if they don't like me, who cares? I'm going to be alone. Like, there is this, Manipur is the city of jewels. It's the location in the navel where confidence sprouts. We step over the fears that maybe rise up from the lower centers. And we feel emboldened, that can be a downfall sometimes too. We can feel prideful and so forth in this area, but it does allow us to, in a way, disconnect and find ourselves. So this is where authenticity begins to grow, and independence, right? But it's not the end of the line. It's just the navel center. Like in the navel center, we may want to be independent and we may want to separate ourselves because the relationship either doesn't look like the family they grew up with or does too much, right? And so we're still, like, the relationship is trying to go through first and second, third chakra experiences, But there's more. So this divine sacred union, that is what's going on in our body in awakening. So of course we're going to see it mirroring in relationships outside of us. We have these two vital forces that run up the spine, Ida and Pingala, masculine, feminine, sun and moon, hatha, whatever you want to call it. The practices, spiritual practices you're doing, the yoga, the meditation, the different, why you're even here listening to me, right? You're doing something to take care of your process, your spiritual maturation, and this mirroring of this internal flow of life force, this positive and negative charge, this electric magnetic that's eventually going to meet here in the pineal gland on the third eye and have a conjunction, an inner marriage, okay? This is actually the first marriage. It's the marriage of the right and the left hemisphere of the brain, the right and the left sides of your body, the left nostril and the right nostril, like the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. These need to be harmonious, right? We need to move to where we're balanced instinct with our intuition and our logical mind. Instinct kind of fits in the middle of both of those, I think. How I like to use that word sometimes. But so the merging with someone else before these phases, right, and including the independent phase, can sometimes create an issue if you can't both move through them together, right? And like wanting to come to the top, to the marriage without moving through the phases, that just brings that process into the marriage even more deeply, right? So in some ways that's awesome, and in some ways that's hard, but it's all beautiful. It's all, and some people are doing the, move through the phases. This is where I was starting with this video. Initiatory relationships, initiating you into higher levels of relational consciousness, relational maturation, right? The development of relationships. So if you've been through a myriad of relationships, and some were not safe for chakra, some were, like there could be some with family that, doesn't have to be a partnership relationship, but you could have a disjointed relationship with your family, and that is going to mirror into your relationship. So that karma and that, ancestral stuff has to be dealt with, or it's going to show up in a relationship, and that's how it's dealt with if you know that, when that's mirroring back to you from somebody else. Oh, they're acting like my mother, or they're acting like my father. Okay, well, that's part of your development, to come to terms with that and to integrate that part of yourself, love that part of yourself, and awaken it to a higher expression, right? So like if you had an unsafe home, or it all felt fear, and maybe there was also some trauma or abuse in the home that you either witnessed or participated in, those first two chakras are crucial before you're going to reach a relationship that's a sacred union. This is why inner work is important, but it can be done in relationship if the people understand this, if we begin to have the language to talk about this. Because you're going to come up against the safety and the trauma issues in the relationship. In fact, you attract that relationship for that very reason in the awakening journey. So that's first. And if you don't get it in that relationship, it will just repeat. And it will keep showing you in another relationship, another one, and another one. It's showing you what? Unintegrated, unloved parts of you from your past or your ancestral line. If you seem like you had a good childhood, but it's still manifesting, you might look a little deeper. So a divine union, an awakened soul, two awakened souls in divine union have integrated all the lower centers. I love all this about themselves. So until you can, you're not initiated to the next center, psychic center, the next chakra experience with a person, the next relational level, if you want to call it. Like a game, you're leveling up. That's an easy way to think about it. So if you pass and you That's why it goes from like abusive narcissistic relationships to like an empowerment and an independence, because you move from first and second to third chakra. And then there is a process of clearing out third chakra too, because in every chakra you get leveled, okay? That's just the part of clearing it out and humbling you to receive the gift that's truly there. So it's like the Tower card in the Tarot. Like in every journey there's a leveling. It's beautiful, actually, if you learn to see it that way. It's profound and it's life altering. And it turns you from going this way to going this way, the way you're meant to go. So you move from third chakra, like I'm independent, I deserve a certain kind of person to show up for me, and if they don't, that's third chakra, but not completely empowered, right? It's just that third chakra turning on. It's that awareness dawning as life force reaches that phase. And then there may be some blows to your confidence, and you might think that you are repeating some of the earlier traumas. But in this phase, it's not true. It's a humbling. You actually can't open the doors of the heart without humility. You have to be on your knees. So to get there, that confidence place will boost you up, and then it will also level you in a relationship initiatory process where someone's telling you you're somehow not good enough. They're questioning your worth. It may be in subtle ways, it may be in dramatic ways. And it might feel, again, like abusive, but it's there to bounce off that third center and test your ability to really own in a humble way, because you have to get a little hurt to understand this. You have to kind of feel the pain to open the center. I know it's a little funky, and people could say all kinds of things about this. Oh, it's good to be abused or whatever, but that's not how I'm looking at it. I mean, ultimately everything is one from the conversation I'm having. It's all connected. It's all two sides of the same coin, right? So there must needs be opposition for this experience to be playing out. So that when that happens and your worth is questioned, it's painful, because you've already come through the lower centers and actually made huge strides. And there's dark night of the soul stuff going on there. And it can trickle into your third chakra, but it stops there, because third chakra is the humbling zone where you find that you can make it out. You're not crushed this time. The leveling is just, I have to say no to this reality. Like, I have to level it. I have to walk away, or I have to say no more, not from like a snooty place, but from good of my soul place. Like I'm ready for like pure love. The kundalini is reaching my heart center. So then you move into initiations of the heart. And these can be tricky. Some of these will take you all the way to the marriage. There's an elevator from the heart to the third eye in relationship module, but not everybody takes it. Some of us go through a lot of heart initiatory relationships as well that break our heart open more and more, and it may come from some protection that we've carried over our heart, maybe from the lower centers. But now life force is here and it's not going to have it anymore, so those walls are going to be tested in relationship when love is trying to go in, or when love is being asked to come in, and all the stuff that's going to block there and want to be purified and want to be expressed doesn't always happen on the first go, you know? Just not everybody has that experience. Some do, and it's a beautiful, glorious opening. Those are very easy to surrender souls, very trusting, and there's probably something to do with your previous lifetimes, maybe your guidance, like that kind of thing. Some of us are going through hard initiatory journeys at each center. And so the heart will be heartbreaks that crack open that heart to a new level where you thought this was that ultimate soulmate person, that spiritual person you could go all the way with. And maybe you both thought it. maybe it was on the table to a degree. And there's a lot of those now because there's so much spiritual work being done, that people are trying to get in a relationship there, and then they feel like they should be the one, but there's this heartbreak that's so deep when it doesn't seem to work out, or when someone has to go down to that third chakra place and say, I got to step out of this. Kundalini goes like this. It's not just first, second, third, fourth, all the way up to ding. Like, it's not one of those things you hit and it just flies up and now you're awakened. Like, Kundalini is fluidly checking stuff out. So you might get into a heart thing in relationship and move it down to the third center to bring some more confidence in and come again. So I encourage you from this standpoint, and again, we could finish it up before I say what I was going to say. A relationship that's a throat chakra relationship, and this could come before the heart. It doesn't always come after, where you're being tested to speak truth, or on the off case, lies are being told, secrets are being told, things are being hidden. That's this being blocked and closed and wanting to open. The opportunities are coming for that to flip, but not everybody takes it, so there's a repeat, right? And when you do finally start speaking up and you're speaking your truth and you're sharing your truth, not everybody wants to hear that, right? So that might, again, be from their past. They might be in second chakra about that, and you're working it out in the throat. So if we can start identifying like where people are in their process with these things, we can have more compassion. But we can also realize this is part of it. Like, this is part of us elevating the paradigm of relationship to a sacred one. We're doing the work. Like, we know we came for this work. Sometimes I think it feels arbitrary to say we came for this work, but what work? Well, inner work, right? Yes, specifically. I mean, you know in your life specifically what you've been doing inner work on, and I applaud you for that, and I thank you for that. This is also part of it. We have collective work we're doing together. And it's on so many levels simultaneously because you're such a multidimensional being. You have the capacity to be working out various things at the same time. So this relationship module, if you're on this video, if you're here and you're listening to this, you have an interest in divine union. Either you're in it and you want to know more about it, or you're drawing that in. That is why you're here. So we're like morphing the template. So if you're not seeing anyone right now, and you don't have any work to do with someone else to see where they're at and mirror that and love that, the work is within and with past relationships, to see what that relationship was doing. What was it initiating you into? How was it perfect? How were they like perfectly playing their part in order to activate certain components in you? How were they like your best friend doing that? They say Judas Iscariot was Jesus's dear friend. And one perspective was he was the only one that loved him enough to do what needed to be done for this mission to be accomplished, right? So in a way, that's a soul contract that we have with these past people. We have a soul contract with them. It's a holy, sacred thing that we went through what we went through, and that they activated us either in self-worth, or definitely in self-worth, but various layers of that. Confidence, I can take care of myself, I can feel safe, like all the things we get challenged with, and we point to the abuser. Okay, I'm not saying we should do the opposite, victim shame, or whatever people like to call it. It's so funny, all these terms that actually keep us from becoming personally responsible for ourselves and empowered in the most holy way. Like, a lot of these things are kind of tricks to keep you from really being empowered. I'm not saying good job to the guy who acted like a jerk or the girl who did, but there is a divine lesson to be learned, and in the self-work, that's when we can go back and apply it. That's what I did, and it was the most liberating thing to go back to look at relationships that seemed like very painful and find how they were perfect for the journey I'm on in my consciousness and my spiritual maturation, to be able to thank them, truly thank them in my life for showing up that way. Else I could not have evolved my consciousness in the ways that I am. That was an initiatory relationship. I've had initiation after initiation of my heart being broken open with who I thought to be spiritual men. But I needed that. I called that in for my heart to be wider, and for whatever reason. Like maybe it's because my Venus is in Aquarius, which leaves me a little bit detached sometimes. So maybe I need to physically feel that heartbreak repeatedly in order to really feel into my heart. And I had this idea that safety came from a man from growing up. That was inherited beliefs. And so I kept trying to apply that to the men who were showing up, but it wasn't fitting. They were mirroring back to me that I'm not safe. I'm not being taken care of. So then I had to come and find that in myself. I had to find my root and my ability to support myself and grow that into an appreciation and a satisfaction that relationship accomplished a crucial, pivotal thing in my journey of development in relationships. Otherwise I was codependent. Otherwise I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet if I lost him. And that is sometimes what happens, when we learn the lesson later. We get the empowerment later, the initiation comes later. Like I said, it's not just linear. It's multi-dimensional, multifaceted. And we're doing it in the order that we predetermined, I think. We had like a code, almost like we're turning all these dials in ourselves. This person comes in and it's for this person comes in and it's for that, until we've got it locked in and we're ready to receive on every level that divine union that connects, that does not judge, that sees the other person whole and complete and recognizes its self-worth that matters. And if both people are doing that, like that's a match for the upcoming paradigm, which is interdependence. We're independent, but our independence depends on linking and networking and sharing that strength and making various webs that are all independently strong, but stronger together. So as we come together in sacred union, we are like tying knots, grantis, bandhas, points of power in the grid of humanity that will strengthen, that will elevate, that will infuse humanity with greater love, which is what humanity really freaking needs, is love. We're really good at picking each other apart and being negative and pointing the finger, and we're really good at breaking things apart and breaking up and all the qualities of a not very mature person. So as we mature in love, we give love. We are love. We find love in everything, and then humanity is all the better for that. Everyone benefits when you can see love in them, when you express love to them. No one does not benefit from that. There's not a single person that doesn't get your love and it feels like that's a yucky thing. If it's genuine, if it's pure, if it's the heart. I'm not talking attachment or possessiveness, that's not love. So the more we move into this, and we do this through self-love, through loving ourselves and the parts in ourselves that need attention and need being brought back to wholeness and need appreciation and all that, when we can do that and we can keep that and we don't get lost in the other person and forget to take care of ourselves, we got to come back to the self. Another initiation. So if relationships keep dropping out, maybe take a step back and look like, what have I been being initiated in that I'm now ready to graduate? And claim it. Have a little graduation ceremony for yourself. It's good to do these actions in the world to know the change, right? I mean, we do these in major rites of passages like funerals and weddings and things like that. We mark the passage. So in our minds, it's forever altered. We never are like, are those two people married? Like if we went to the wedding, we know. Of course, in case, unless they didn't stay together, but I just mean like, it stamps something in consciousness, like that was a pivot point. If they're not together anymore, it's because they broke up, not because they never were one, right? They came together, and everyone who witnessed now identifies them together. So when we do these ceremonies for ourselves, we lock something in our consciousness that said, yeah, I did move. So it could be the smallest thing. You can write all those things down from the old relationship, decide to love them all, burn them in a little fire, very small, that you keep a track of. You know, have a little ceremony of some kind. But remember, you're never like getting rid of the past. It's such a misnomer. You're integrating it. Like it's coming with you, it's in you. You went through it, it's part of your experience. It's just you have to figure out how it fits in there that feels right and that doesn't hamper your future growth, right? It's like you wake up and you grow up and you keep your child self, your child nature, your playfulness. And if you don't have that, you should get it again. But you keep the playfulness, but you don't like start wearing diapers around again. Like integrating your inner child's not like you're drinking out of a bottle. That's not integrating your inner child. You're not taking like the exact elements of it. You're taking like the essence, right? So what's the gift? What's the essence from that thing, that initiation that you're bringing forward? From that relationship that you're bringing forward? What did you get out of it? And not like, what'd you get out of it? But like, what did you actually receive as a blessing from having gone through that process in your soul development? And that might take a little pondering. So I'm going to end the video there, guys. It's getting a bit long, and I am frankly getting really warm out here. So I'm going to close this up and say thank you for being here yet again. I appreciate you. I hope that you are finding a value and worth here, something that speaks to your soul, just sharing and hoping to connect and lift you up and assist you on your journey to feeling the most present and grateful for where you are right now. So thanks so much. Love you. Please subscribe. Make sure you check out all the content, especially the archetypes of the tarot and your weekly sign readings. Those are fun this week. I've got the Key Vesta going, so if you don't know what that is, check it out. And I'll see you next time. Namaste.